Okay, so we're going to have a little look through the Year 11 test, question by question, so you can do corrections. So question 1, find the lowest common multiple of 40 and 56. Well, I think the easiest way of doing this is just to write out. Now, the 40 times table we probably know. We'll see how it goes, and then we might do it a different way, but 40, and I'm just doing the 8 times table, so 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Now to do the 56, I'm going to do it on my calculator, and I'm literally just going to start off by doing 56, 112. So now when I add 56, I'm just going to keep going through it. So 168, 224, 280, and I can see straight away that was 280. I've got it there. So the lowest common multiple of 280, because remember multiple is times tables. Okay, so lowest common multiple times tables, lowest common multiple is 280. For part B though, it's slightly different because it's written in index form. So I think the easy, I want the highest common factor, the biggest number that goes into both. So I know A is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. I know B is 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 5. So with this one, because it's in index form, I'm going to draw a Venn diagram. Now I could have done that with you earlier. For this one up above, I would have had to do put it into its prime factors. So there's A and there's B. And remember the highest common factor is this bit in the middle. So what's common? Well, I've got a pair of 2's. So 1, 2, so 2 squared. I've got a pair of 3's, and I've got a pair of 5's. And if I wanted to, I could fill in the rest. I've got a 2 left over here, and I've got a 5 left over here. But the highest common factor is that bit in the middle. So it's 2 squared times 3 times 5, and I get an answer of 60. Okay. The lowest common multiple, remember, would be everything. So if what is the lowest common multiple, I times that by 10, and lowest common multiple would be 600. I times it by 10 because 2 times 5 is 10. Next one, Matt and Dan cycle around a track. Each lap, Matt cycles, it takes him 50 seconds. Each lap Dan cycles, it takes him 60 seconds. Dan and Matt start cycling at the same time at the start line. Work out how many laps they've each cycled when they start line together. So the first thing is they're going round together. So this is the lowest common multiple question. So if I start off by writing out the 5 times table, or the 50 times table, for Matt, he would take 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, 450, 500. So 10 laps there for Matt. For Dan, he takes a little bit longer. He takes 80 seconds. So he goes 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Now I'm going to stop there because I want to know when they're next at the start time at the same time, and I can see that 400 is when they're next together. But the actual question says how many laps will they have each cycled. So for Matt, he'll have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 laps. And for Dan, he'll have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 laps. So they'll next be at the start line together after 400 seconds, but the question asks how many laps they've both done, and in this instance Matt will have done 8 laps because he's faster, whereas Dan, lagging behind, doing just 8 laps. Okay, question 3. Here's a right angle triangle, work out the value of x. So it's a right angle triangle, so there's 2 options here. It's either going to be Pythagoras or trig. Because I've got 3 sides, it's going to be Pythagoras. So if you remember, with Pythagoras this has to be my c. And the formula for Pythagoras is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So it's going to be 8.5 squared is equal to 4 squared plus x squared. So if I work out what 8.5 is, 8.5 squared is, as a number, 72.25. So 72.25 is equal to 16 plus x squared. So I'm doing every step here. Subtract the 16 So subtract 16 gives me 56.25. Okay, so I'm just going to come up here now. And then to get rid of the squared, we're going to take the square root technically of both sides. So square root of 56.25 would be equal to the square root of x squared, which means they cancel each other out. So the square root of that answer gives me a final answer of 7.5. 7.5 is equal to x. Okay, so Pythagoras there. For the next bit, write the number 0.00007547 in standard form. Well, if you remember with standard form, we need the number after the 7. Okay, so the decimal's going to go after that 7 there. So it's going to be 7.547 times 10. And I've got to work out how many jumps it would take. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7.547 times 10 to the minus, I've forgotten already, 1, 2, 3, 4, minus 5. To write as an ordinary number, well, let's get rid of the decimal point first. So 3, 4, 2, and it's got to do 4 jumps. So from here, 4 jumps. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So as a normal number, that would be 3, 4, 2, 0, 0. Okay, don't just put 4 zeros at the end of it. Remember, the decimal has got to move, well, the number has got to move twice before we can start adding anything. So it's not going to be 3, 4, 2 and 4 zeros. You've got to think about how many zeros you need. For the next bit, work out this. Well, it's a calculator question, isn't it, really? Fraction button on your calculator. Open your bracket. And I don't use this bottom button. I type it in literally as I see it. So we could use this times 10 button, but I don't really use it. I go with just literally type it in times 10 to the power 4. Make sure you move across. Close my bracket. Times, open bracket, 6.7 times 10 to the power 3. Close my bracket, over, open my bracket, 5 times 10 to the power negative 8. So I've literally typed it in exactly as I see it. Press equals, and I get an answer. And it's in, because the question's in standard form, the answer has to be in standard form. It's going to be 3.082 times 10 to the 15. Okay, question 5. This person sells ice cream. One day she sells 80 ice creams. The next day she sells 108 ice creams. Work out the percentage increase. Well, percentage increase, if you remember, is the difference over the original times 100. So what is the difference between these two? Well, it's going to be 108 minus 80 over the original. Well, the first day she did, her original amount was 80, so over 80 multiplied by 100. And again, this is all calculator work, so calculator out. Don't do any of it in your head because you might make a mistake. Literally, even 108 take away 80, make it nice and easy. Over 80 multiplied by 100 gives us a 35% increase in sales. Okay, so that's a 35% increase. Question 6. In a shop, the normal price of a coat is £65. The shop has a sale. In the first week, this coat is reduced by 20%. So I'm going to take 20% off, which means I'd have 80% left. So I'm going to do 65 multiplied by 0.8. I multiply by 0.8 because that's taking 20% off. If you think it's 100 minus 20%, which is, I've got 80% left. So that's why I'm multiplying by 0.8. So 65 times 0.8 gives me 52. So at the end of week 1, I could buy it for 52. In week 2 of the sale, the price is reduced by a further £10. So it's going to be 52 minus the £10 means this coat now costs £42. Maria has £40. Does Maria have enough money to buy the coat? No, she is £2 short. She doesn't have enough money. She's £2 or €2 short in cash. Okay, next up we've got 3 plus root 12 in the form a root 3, where a is an integer. You must show all of your working. So it's basically saying you can't use your calculator. So So if you remember with surds, we've got to be thinking first off of our square numbers. So our square numbers, even though 1 is a square number, it's useless. So 1, I've got 12, so I'm not going to go that far. I'm just going to go 4 and 9, because it's got to be one of those. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, there are our numbers. So we're looking first off to cancel it down. If you remember to add surds, we've got to have the same surd in there. It's like me saying 2a plus 3a. I can do that, I can get 5a. But what I can't do is 2a plus 3b, okay? That I cannot simplify anymore because they're not like terms. And it's the same sort of thing with surds. So the root 3 is there, and here's the root 12. Now, to add them together, it's telling me they've got to be root 3's. So this one's going to stay the same, but this root 12 has got to have a root 3 in it. And what times by 3 makes 12? 4. And I know the square root of 4. I know the square root of 4 is 2. So I've simplified root 12. Root 12 simplified is 2 root 3. It's a bit like fractions. It's like saying 4/8 simplified as a half. This is its simplest form here. And now look, I've got the same roots. So 1 root 3 plus 2 root 3's would give me 3 root 3's. And if you wanted to, you could check it on your calculator. You could put in root 3 plus root 12 just to see what your answer should be. You know the answer should be 3 root 3, so you know what you're aiming for. Can you get there? Okay? So we can check it on our calculator and we can see we've got the answer right. For question 8, it says the perimeter of a square is root 120. Work out the area. So first off, I'm just going to draw myself a little square. Okay? So there's my square to say it's all the same sides. And the perimeter is 120. So the perimeter is the square root of 120. If you remember, perimeter is all the way around. So to find one side, I'd divide that by 4. So on my calculator, the square root of 120 divided by 4 is root 30 over 2. So one side is root 30 over 2. So here's root 30 over 2. Here is root 30 over 2. Okay, so I've got the sides done. I want to know the area. Well, if you remember for area, length times width. So area is going to be root 30 over 2 multiplied by root 30 over 2. So on the calculator, I'm literally just going to type it in. Fraction, root 30 over 2 multiplied by root 30 over 2, and I get an answer of 7.5 centimetres. So the area would have been 15 over 2 according to my calculator. And when I press the SD button, I get 7.5 centimetres squared. Okay, for question 9, PQR is an isosceles triangle. Work out the value of x. Now, what do I know about isosceles triangle? The worst fact is that the sides are the same. That's the worst fact. The best fact to remember is that the base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. So I can say that 4x minus 8 is equal to 2x plus 13. They're the same, so they're equal to each other. So if I start off by expanding out the bracket, I get 4x minus 32 is equal to 2x plus 13. And then I'm just going to start to rearrange this. So I always remove my letters first. And I always remove the smallest letter because that makes it the easiest. So if I remove this 2x, so if I subtract 2x from both sides, do I have a pen I can write that with? So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. It means that I get 2x minus 32 is equal to 13. I'm then going to add the 32 to both sides, which means I now have 2x is equal to, I can't think of this in my head, it's just completely gone blank, so I'm just going to do it on my calculator quickly. 13 plus 32 is 45, and then dividing it by 2. And again, it was better that I checked that on my calculator, because 22.5, so I get x is equal to 22.5. You might as well check anything. If you're a bit unsure, do it in your calculator, and then at least you don't make a mistake. So x is 22.5. I suppose it would be degrees, but it's a value, so the angle would be in degrees, but the x-axis just as it is. Okay, question 10. We've got Rosie, Matilda and Ibrahim collect stickers. They have stickers in the ratio 4 to 7 to 15. He has 24 more than Matilda. Now, I realise it's a bigger number here, but I am a huge fan of drawing up boxes to represent ratios. So, to start off with, this is Rosie, okay, and she has 4 boxes. Next up is Matilda, and she has 7, so 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go about to there. We'll say that's worth about 3. So 1, 2, 3, so 4, 5, 6, 7. And then Ibrahim has 15. So he's going to be pretty much all the way to the end, I reckon. We'll do that. So 1, 2, 3, that's 7 there. So there's 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines. There's 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and we'll split this one, it's a little bit smaller, but 14 and 15. Okay, what do I know from this? Ibrahim has 24 more stickers than Matilda. So this section here, from here to here, this is worth 24. Okay? Well, how many boxes have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So clearly, 24 divided by 8 is 3. So every box has to be worth 3. And if all those boxes are worth 3, then every single box has to be worth 3. Every single box has to be worth 3. So Ibrahim has 24 more stickers than Matilda. Ibrahim has more stickers than Rosie. How many more? Well, we can work out how many each person has now, because each box is worth 3. So for Rosie is going to be 4 lots of 3, which is 12. I'm going to use my calculator for this. Matilda has 7 lots of 3, which is 21. And Ibrahim has 15 lots of 3, which is 45. How many more does Ibrahim have than Rosie? Well, 45 subtract 12 would give us 33 more. Okay, so that was Ibrahim, this was Rosie, and we've done it that way. So by drawing the boxes, it can make it really, really easy for us to work out ratios.